Welcome back, friends, to another video. America has just gone through a presidential election, and no matter what political party you're in, it has become obvious to everybody the huge impact that big technology companies have over our lives. Just this week, Facebook and Twitter were testifying in front of Congress, and both Republicans and Democrats had some very tough questions for them. There is a lot of concern about what is going on with these big technology companies. And so in this video, we're going to be talking about what is going on with Facebook and Twitter, how that relates to freedom of speech, and why freedom of speech is important to business, because I think that's a perspective that not enough people are talking about. I want to start with some fundamental concepts in business. Business is always a battle between two groups of people: established businesses with money and power, and new entrants into the market coming up with new ideas and different ways of doing things. Established money wants to do everything to maintain their power, where new money grows market share by providing value in new ways. This war between the old and the new works itself out beautifully through free markets. This battle has happened throughout human history and will continue to happen. The market decides who is providing the most value for society, and resources will be distributed accordingly. The forces of supply and demand form the basis of the study of economics and establishes the concept of free markets. When you study business history, you will learn that free markets are the best way to generate economic growth. Markets with more freedom tend to do better, whereas markets with less freedom underperform. America has had a remarkable economy over the last century, and one of the reasons for this is the embrace of free markets. America has something called the Bill of Rights. You should take some time to read through this whole list. This is an amazing list of freedoms that not many nations in the world have. They don't have this full list of freedoms. And the list starts off with freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of the press. It is because of these freedoms that free markets have worked so well in the United States. Free markets need freedom to work. The word free is literally in the phrase free markets. Freedom of speech, specifically, is so important because it allows the best ideas to bubble up to the top. In the US, the Bill of Rights is a piece of technology that has enabled free markets to work. If you can hear everyone's ideas, the best ones will filter to the top, and the market can decide the outcome. This resolves the age-old conflict of old money trying to hang on to their power and new entrants offering better ways of doing things. Let me also explain that free markets do not prohibit government intervention. A lot of people think that free markets means that business gets to do whatever they want without government interference. That is not what free markets means. Free markets means there is a level playing field where people can compete to ensure supply meets demand. If a company is engaging in criminal behavior or fraud, of course the government is supposed to step in to maintain people's freedom to compete. Let's look at the situation today. Big tech has created a problem. If you run a business today, you have to go through social media and search. Business is no longer transacted in the real world. It happens online. Even brick and mortar businesses like restaurants have to go through social media. People don't go to a restaurant without looking it up on their phone first. This online reality has created economic gatekeepers. All the businesses in America are on one side of the gate, and all their customers are on the other side of the gate. And if you want to reach your customers, you have to go through a few massive tech companies. These tech companies have rules on what you can say and how you can act. No one has elected these people, but if you want to do business, you have to say the right thing and act the right way. This has transformed free speech in America. You have to realize all these tech companies have to do is push you down the search rankings. If you don't show up in search, you do not exist. You cannot make money, you cannot feed your family. So if you want to eat, you have to say what they want you to say. We are now in a situation where all the businesses in America are now controlled by Facebook and Twitter, and we have no vote over this. These are not elected people with this power over our companies. That's not freedom of speech. And without freedom of speech, free markets don't work because we never hear the best ideas. We will only hear the ideas that big tech wants you to hear. And big tech is not looking out for your freedom. They're for-profit companies. They're looking out for their own bottom line. This is the age-old struggle of the rich and powerful trying to hold down any new idea that could provide competition. Without freedom of speech, free markets fall apart, and free markets are what make the American economy strong. Now, this is a very unusual situation, and I tried to think if there was a similar situation in business history where we had economic gatekeepers, and what happened. There actually is, and it's the fall of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire created this incredible new economy. They had banking, they had credit markets, they had loans, they had currency. The Roman Empire stretched across the known world into places that had never seen such economic opportunities. This was a brave new economy for people, just like the social media economy is today. But also, just like today, there were economic gatekeepers. The Roman Empire was not a free market. The Roman economy was controlled by interfamily wealth of the senators in Rome. And if you wanted to participate in this economy, you needed their seal of approval. If you didn't say the right thing and act the right way, you would be crucified. They would take nails, pound them into your hands, and nail you to a cross. They didn't care about freedom of speech. They cared about maintaining their wealth and power. There is even a famous saying that we still use to this day: when in Rome, do as the Romans do. This statement is about compliance. If you don't do as the Romans do, you would be killed. No other culture since Rome has a catchphrase about compliance as blatant as this. Now, I'm not a religious person, but I do know about business history, and there's actually a section in the Bible where Jesus talks about this very issue of economic gatekeepers. This gives us some shocking insight into what was happening in Rome at that time in history. And there's a story in the book of Matthew that happened 1 week before Jesus was crucified. He knew that people were trying to crucify him. He knew that people were trying to trap him. And the Pharisees, who were the religious leaders of the day, they came to Jesus and asked him, "Should we pay taxes to Rome?" And Jesus said this: "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and give unto God what is God's." Jesus is talking about the issue of economic gatekeepers. He is saying, if you want to do business, you have to pay the gatekeepers. But Rome's way of thinking is not the only way of thinking that is out there. He is talking about freedom. 1 week later, Jesus was crucified for nothing other than his speech. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't steal. He didn't cheat anyone. He said the wrong things and challenged the power structure. It is estimated that Rome crucified thousands of people until there was no one left willing to speak their mind. No one was willing to ask the tough questions like, maybe you should not base the economy on slave labor, or maybe you should not leave the capital city without military protection, or maybe you shouldn't massively inflate your currency. None of these ideas made it to the leadership of Rome, and even if the ideas did make it to the Roman leadership, they did not care about new ways of doing things. All they cared about was their own wealth and power, and eventually Rome collapsed. Now, this statement made by Jesus is very relevant to today. We may have to do business through Twitter and Facebook, but their instructions of what is approved speech is not the only ideas out there. They might want to suppress any speech that does not support their money and power, but we need to be able to hear new and different ideas, or we're going to be doomed to fail. Now, there are lots of historians out there that argue about the exact reason why the Roman Empire fell, but all the theories deal with the same central issue. Organizations fall when the correct ideas do not make their way to the top leadership who do not act on them. Rome's enemies took advantage of this and competed with better ideas and took over the empire. In fact, this same problem happens when large companies fail in business. The right ideas don't make their way to the top, and the companies fail to act. This is why we need free speech. We need the best ideas. We need free markets to work. So what should we do in the United States? I think this is a fixable problem. I don't think this is a fight between Republicans and Democrats. I think there's a lot of common ground here. And I watched the hearings this week. Both Republicans and Democrats are worried about this. The solution has to do with a piece of law called Section 230. This is the legislation that covers social media. The law needs to be rewritten to ensure our freedom of speech. Speech should not be decided by for-profit companies. Economic gatekeepers need to be removed to allow for free markets. Again, I think there's a lot of common ground here between Republicans and Democrats on rewriting Section 230, so I hope that we will see progress soon. Let me end with this main concept. Freedom is required for free markets, which leads to economic growth. I realize I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comment section for this video. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, Zach, you're blowing this out of proportion. These are just private companies with their own terms of service. They're not stopping anybody from starting their own business. I would urge you to keep something in mind. The next up-and-coming social media company is called TikTok. Now, TikTok is owned by China, and there's been a lot of discussion lately where the president has requested that China sell U.S. operations of TikTok to a U.S. company. But that sale hasn't gone through yet. If that sale doesn't go through, China still owns TikTok, and China will become the next economic gatekeeper for every company in the United States. So if your company wants to reach its customers, you're going to have to go through China, and you're going to have to do what China tells you to do. And let me tell you this, China does not care about your freedom of speech.